Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. I hope you're doing well. So are you a fan of Lacoste fragrances? I know there have been quite a few: Jaune, Rouge, Noir. In today's video, we're going to be focusing on the brand new one. This one actually came out this year in 2021. This is the Eau De Parfum version of L.12.12 Blanc. I'm very excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my fragrance review on L.12.12 Blanc by Lacoste, the Eau De Parfum version released this year in 2021, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, if you like fragrance reviews just like this, but also top 10 videos, giveaways, unboxings, and more, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. And while you're at it, make sure to leave a like down below for the YouTube algorithm. I would really appreciate it. So I know this fragrance, or I should say the Eau de Toilette counterpart of it, came out in 2011. It's hard to believe it's been a decade now because I actually remember when it came out. Since then, there have been a few other fragrances appropriate for different scenarios, I would say, and they came out with another version of this. You can call it a flanker 3 years later in 2014. Now, the original has grapefruit, juniper berry, ambroxan, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's very bright, a little woodsy, citrusy, very clean, very easy to wear. And then they had the Jeremyville, a limited edition, which is called Blanc Pure. That one I think came out last year in 2020. And so they've had a few different versions of this throughout the years, but of course this is the Eau de Parfum. So with the Eau de Parfum, you see the pattern here, or the texture on the bottle is actually on the front as opposed to the side. In the Eau de Toilette, it's on the side. And then here you see the crocodile is gray as opposed to the original where it's green. Now, in terms of the name L.12.12, so the L stands for Lacoste, of course. The first one in the first 12 stands for the type of material that's being used, which is the petite piqué fabric. The 2 means it's short sleeve, so that's kind of like an internal code. And then the 12 means the 12th iteration that was selected by René Lacoste. And so pretty cool that this is kind of an homage to their classic polo shirts. And there's actually a picture of a polo on the back. And so you think of Blanc, you think of something that conveys purity, cleanliness, maybe a sense of being well groomed. In any case, I'm excited to tell you about the smell. Let's start things off with the presentation. So as soon as this fragrance opens up, you are going to get that very bright and vibrant citrus that you also get in some of the earlier Blanc expressions. And so even in the one that came out in 2011, you have the very bright sort of grapefruit note that's in there. It's a little tart. It's very citrusy at the same time. So this one has a very unique note, and it's called finger lime. Now, I have seen it in some other perfumes. I know Goldfield and Banks used it in a fragrance recently as well. So finger lime, otherwise known as caviar lemon, is supposed to be the citrusy ingredient that also has like this coumarinic and balsamic undertone. And there is actually cedarwood and pine in the base of this fragrance, and I am kind of getting that woodsy feeling. So I think the cedarwood starts to come through pretty nicely in this fragrance, and I think it was pretty well composed in terms of capturing the freshness of the fragrance. It was actually a collaboration between two perfumers, Anne Ayo and Marie Salamagne, who has done many fragrances. She's with Firmenich, and she's done fragrances for like, oh my gosh, Kenzo and Jo Malone and Atelier d'Or, and her resume is quite vast. But in this fragrance, you have that citrusy introduction in the opening, and you also have eucalyptus in the heart. Now, eucalyptus can be a hit or a miss for me, and that's because sometimes when I think of eucalyptus, I think of mothballs, and that's not the most pleasant or most favorable association to have. But in this fragrance, there's only a slight touch of menthol, nothing overwhelming or overpowering. I really think it's more about the citrus in the woods. Now, the thing with Lacoste fragrances, in my opinion, is that they seem very compressed. That has been my experience. And when you look at the note breakdown, there's nothing really about the fragrances that make any one particular note come across as organic or natural smelling. It always smells like a very pleasant synthetic fragrance. And you can tell that there's nothing in there that smells particularly organic or natural or true to form, where, you know, if you smell a fragrance with a pineapple note, you can almost envision the pineapple in front of you. Same thing can be said about jasmine or magnolia or tuberose or whatever. There's just something about Lacoste fragrances, even in their noir version, which contains chocolate, it wasn't overly chocolatey to my nose. Even some of the other ingredients, I think they had one with rhubarb in it, could be mistaken. There's nothing that smells overly natural. Now, here's the thing. It's very pleasant. It's very bright, it's very fresh, it conveys a sense of being well-groomed. It's very easy to get along with, and it's also a compliment getter. So if you're looking for compliments, you're definitely gonna get it with this one. And let me say this too, my wife loves it. So I was wearing this a few weeks back, maybe even as much as a month back, and she says, "Which fragrance are you wearing today?" And I said, "The new Lacoste that I picked up from Macy's." She goes, "Oh, go figure." And so she really enjoys it, and that's something that can be said about a lot of Lacoste fragrances. They're all very easygoing, whether we're talking about Lacoste Live or Rouge or this one or the Eau de Toilette counterpart, they're all very easy to wear. And for that reason, I think even Match Point, I bought Match Point last year. My wife really likes that one too. And so with Lacoste, you know you're getting fragrances that are going to cater to a wide range of tastes. They're very easygoing, very amicable compositions. However, they do come across smelling a little inorganic. But again, you know, that's not criticism per se. It's just that, you know, if you're in the market for fragrances that are organic in smell and that do smell natural, there might be some other viable alternatives that I would recommend before a Lacoste. But this one is really good if you're running errands, if you want something for the office, something that gets you compliments, something that's great for the hotter weather, albeit something that smells a little inorganic. But in any case, those were my thoughts on the smell. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I don't find this fragrance to be too unique because despite the fact that it has such a different note breakdown from the original, it still smells kind of similar to the original. Some other fragrances that I could compare this to are perhaps Montblanc's Legend Spirit. There's also something about this fragrance that kind of reminds me of that. I don't know if it's the white bottle or the combination of citrus ingredients, but you know, it does have a nice touch of menthol in the heart, and I like the citrus in the opening, and I like that smooth woodsy appeal in the base. And the overall smell, like I said, is very appealing. It's definitely going to get you compliments. It's that type of a fragrance that just smells very clean and well groomed. Longevity on it is about 6 hours on my skin, 5 to 6 hours, I would say. The projection is really good for the first hour and a half of application. It was never too loud and never radiated beyond an arm's length, but the projection is pretty good because of all the citrus that's in here. The versatility is also great as well. I just probably wouldn't wear this one in the winter time. I would probably opt for something that's a little bit more on the heavy side, whether we're talking about Dylan Blue or maybe even K Eau De Parfum by Dolce & Gabbana. A lot of fragrances that I think would do well in the colder weather, but this one is like spring and summer for sure. I can see this being a little bit more on the youthful side. I do think it leans a little bit masculine, and of course it is marketed for men. In terms of the presentation, I like the name, I like the concept, I like the idea behind the fragrance. So my final verdict is, if you're looking for a fragrance that's gonna get you compliments, if you're looking for something that is very appropriate for the hotter months, something that is very easy to wear, laid back, carefree, giving off a bit of a casual vibe, definitely check this one out. If you want something that smells a little bit more natural, a little bit more organic, perhaps even a little bit more complex and a little bit more evenly distributed in terms of compressed, in terms of its olfactory landscape, I would recommend looking elsewhere. But nevertheless, I do think that this is a very safe fragrance, very easy to pull off. I like the way it smells. My wife loves the way that it smells. And I think it's gonna be a solid pickup, especially if you are a fan of some of the more citrusy iterations and offerings from the House of Lacoste. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. That was my review of L.12.12 Blanc Eau De Parfum by Lacoste. If you own or have tried this fragrance, please let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you took something of value from this video, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. We'll see you soon. Bye.